Just get Tony Hibbert in. Don't beat around the bush.
On this episode of the podcast, we discuss last weekend's Europa League and Champions League finals, as Sevilla and Bayern Munich both clinched glory. We also discuss the transfer market, all the deals that have happened, and all the rumours which are swirling around. And Barcelona, what on earth is happening? And what do we think of Ronald Koeman's appointment, the former Southampton and Everton manager? So sit back, relax, crack open a cold one. It's time for 4 Manx, 1 Toffee.
Bad news, United fans. Aaron Ramsey's leaving Arsenal for Juventus. Congrats, we were linked with him in 2011.
Yeah. And it literally was when I was at college that we were linked with Aaron Ramsey. I remember being gutted for a couple of days and then I got over it.
It's only to bump up his fee, innit, really?
Of course it is.
You know, and new contract they are. From 50 million player now, you're worth 100 million. You've got 4 years on your contract, whatever it is he's just signed. But
yeah.
We'll still go in. We'll still go in for 200 million, won't we? Ridiculous amount.
Well, apparently not if we can't stump up fucking 120 for Sancho.
Yeah, well.
Mate, the Glazers couldn't even stump
multiple transfers.
No, yeah, exactly. The Glazers couldn't stump up 120 for a fucking McDonald's extra value meal at the moment. They're so tight, the fucking lot of them.
What I've loved seeing is like these United conspiracy theorists saying, "Oh, the Glazers won't put money in because they're spending all the money on Tom Brady." Lads, the NFL ownership is a completely separate entity that is not allowed that kind of financial support. Shut the fuck up! You've no idea what you're talking about.
Let's move on anyway, because we could do a whole separate podcast on the ownership of our club. Danny, I owe you an apology because you said, and you know what's coming here, I can see you nodding your head. We had a conversation. I was very critical of you when you said that Sevilla and Inter Milan was going to be a better game than Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain. And I just couldn't understand why you thought that. And then I watched the 2 games and I know exactly what you're talking about now. So I do owe you an apology, mate. Did everyone see the game on Friday?
Yeah, brilliant game that was. I couldn't believe it was 15 minutes in when it was like 2-2. I was like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, apology accepted, first off. Yeah, it was brilliant, wasn't it? It was fully I just saw it coming with Sevilla, where I just didn't think that. I mean, in the second half, they definitely defended like they did against us in that semi-final. But first half was so open. It was fantastic, just end to end. You look like both teams would score at every attack. I mean, I was the only one that got the prediction wrong. I thought Inter would win. I thought Inter were a bit toothless going forward. I think the penalty was definitely a penalty. They could have arguably had another one because Diego Carlos is, Jesus Christ, he's erratic, isn't he? Probably should have been sent off, in my opinion. I think he's made no attempt for the ball whatsoever. But I don't think Lukaku got the service. I think Lautaro Martinez, for everything that everyone said about him, he did nothing. He just didn't show up.
I don't even remember him in the game.
No, exactly.
I remember him taking off.
Yeah.
Bulking on the sideline.
Yeah. I thought Inter were just a bit toothless, really, considering they scored 2 goals in a final. You've got to hand it to the Sevilla manager for bringing in Luke de Jong, who has done jack shit all season and scored the winner against us and was instrumental in the winning that. I mean, it's great management.
Yeah. The second header he scored was world class. One of the best headers I've ever seen. That
I didn't mean it.
Wait. Okay, there it is.
Didn't mean it. It was chipped to the back post for someone to head back across the box. He headed it back across the box and it went in. He looped it in by accident. Everyone will say he meant it and he'll say he meant it, but he didn't. He's heading that. He's not good enough to have meant that.
Listen, he meant
It
that.
might,
Yeah.
it might not have been good enough at Newcastle. He was good
Yeah.
enough on that night.
First goal was good. I think the first header was good.
The first header was fantastic. To get that low, so many strikers would try and volley that and end up blazing it over the bar. And for him to get down and control it the way he did was brilliant.
Yeah, he had a good game. He's had a good end of the season, hasn't he? The Dutchman.
Yeah.
He did us, didn't he? That second. I mean, I know that was a defensive masterclass more than anything from us, but needs a finish at the end of the day, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? I just said about Lautaro Martinez disappearing then, and well, there was a few other strikers that disappeared in the Champions League final, which we'll get to in a bit. It just seemed like these two big games over the weekend, the top players didn't really turn up.
Mate, it goes Bigfoot.
I mean, does it? Yeah.
Loch Ness Monster, Neymar, myths, a lot of them. The absolute lot of them. They just don't exist.
He lost his head, I think, Neymar in that game. He seemed like he was so desperate to do something to affect the game, to win it, because don't forget, I think he was out there thinking, well, maybe not, but he's out there thinking, I've got to justify my price tag here. Because the whole reason he was signed, like for the entire years he spent there, it was all culminating to that one game. Like his transfer fee was all solely for that game, and he fucked it. He was shit. He was lost the ball. He bad passes. He was trying flicks that didn't come off. 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper that he didn't score. It was a very poor performance from someone that was supposedly £200 million. It was pretty depressing, really.
Well, I was going to make a point then, but Dale, you started saying something. What were you saying then, mate?
Well, I mean, that's those sort of games is where the best, are separated, or the greats are separated from the good players, aren't they? I mean,
yeah.
He put Messi in that situation, for example. He could have done fuck all game, but he will produce a moment of magic. Score a goal.
Munich say, hold my 8-2.
Yeah.
Where Messi completely disappeared.
But the European final, like Lee said, you pay someone 200 million for those sort of players to step up when the game matters, in those situations. And like I say, Neymar, quiet as he was, I mean, him, I think Di Maria and Mbappe all missed. They were quiet, but then when they did get a chance, they didn't take it.
I think I said in the podcast before. I think I said that Di Maria would be the X factor, and he was out of the three of them. He was the only one that looked like he actually turned up. I mean, Alphonso Davies, as much as I praised him, he had a shocker. He looked so nervous, and maybe it was the fact that he was 19 years old, playing his first ever European final. Fucking hell, I think I'd shit myself, even in front of no fans. It's got to do something to you. But yeah, Di Maria was the only one that turned up. Mbappe, I hate to say it, I think PSG can point a lot of fingers at Mbappe for that game of why they've lost. Because he missed the chance, especially that Herrera cut back to him, and he just tamely passed it back to Neuer.
Yeah, I was screaming at the TV when he did that, because that was his chance. That was his chance that, he was set up for. Everyone's raving on about how where we can change that game for PSG. He got the chance and he side-footed it straight to the keeper. What a waste.
It was at 0-0 as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's a completely different game if that goes in.
There was one in the second half.
Up until the goal, Bayern didn't know how to break them down. Bayern were completely lost because, full credit to PSG, I've never seen them defend like they did. Mm-hmm. Thomas Tuchel got them all working really hard. Even the fact of Di Maria, Neymar and Mbappe working back, tracking runners. We've never seen defensive work rate like that. But yeah, him and Neymar, they can really look at each other and think we probably cost them the game here. Because the defence didn't do anything wrong. The defence did nothing wrong for PSG. They were just outclassed by an unreal cross from Kimmich. What a fucking ball.
Yeah, float that over.
I think as long as you don't head it straight at the near post where the goalkeeper's got it covered, you're guaranteed that you're going to put that in the back of the net. Because he didn't even really, I don't even think he connected with it perfectly. It seemed to be quite a soft header into the corner.
Yeah. Sometimes it's better when you don't connect with it perfectly, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Puts the keeper off. That goal was made. It was because of the cross. Like it's undefensible. Like especially when I think it was Kerr was looking after Lewandowski, and he's just Kingsley Coman of all people. Didn't even expect him to start that game. He was fucking electric.
Yeah, he was well good.
I was shocked he started. I really was shocked he started. I thought he would have stuck with Perisic, but.
I tell you what, boys, that was a shortish review of the Europa League final of it. Straight into the Champions League, boys.
I've told you all along, it doesn't fucking matter.
Well,
I think Champions League was fresher in the memory, wasn't it? So.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing really to say about the Europa League, though, is there? Like you said, Lee, you went on about the romanticism of the FA Cup a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
When you called Arsenal's victory, but you've not mentioned that actually, by the way, mate. Usually you'd cash in on that and try and get some plaudits, but you've not said a word about predicting that. I'm quite shocked at you.
No, I'm sure I did. Well, just for everyone else that missed it, 60 quid I won on the correct score, 2-1 Arsenal. Only one that predicted.
All right, fucking Paddy Power, get over it.
Well, yeah, you talked about romanticism. It's Sevilla's trophy, innit? I mean, every year when there's a Super Cup, whoever wins the Champions League, you should just expect to face Sevilla at some point before the season starts. It's just the way it's gone. That 6 times. It's just a ridiculous stat, innit? And it's all the more impressive by the fact that how proud they are of it, because no one else has really asked about the Europa League, are they?
I don't know. If you look at them interfaces at the end of full time, I think they were asked. Right. I think it's the case. Yeah. No one wants to lose a final. With them winning that now, because obviously they were qualified for the Champions League beforehand. Am I right in saying that puts them in pot 1 for the Champions League because they've won the tournament?
Might be, yeah. It sounds like it would.
I'm pretty certain. So it's got them. It's going to help them out, obviously, next season now, because that was my argument all the time, wasn't it? I'm not asked about it when Champions League. But for a team like us who we're going to be in pot 2, with the way I'm assuming we'll be in pot 2 with the coefficient and the fact that we finished 3rd. Sevilla would probably be in either 2 or 3. So to put themselves in pot 1 and avoid Liverpool, Juventus, PSG, they're putting themselves in a good state for the Champions League. But would you be shocked to see them finish 3rd and drop into the Europa League again and then go and win it?
They do it on purpose.
That's what Celtic do. I'm pretty certain I remember an interview once where Celtic had just been knocked out of the Champions League, and Brendan Rodgers was sat there and he goes, "Well, yeah, this is exactly what we wanted and what we expected. Now we can go on for the rest of the season in the Europa League." I'm almost certain I remember that interview.
If that is true, then what you were saying last week about lack of intent and lack of wanting to succeed with them Scottish teams, that is just summed up perfectly.
Yeah. Well, they shouldn't have the champ. I'm sure that is true, because I've always cited that as being the reason for me thinking that they should have their Champions League spot taken off them, because I always remember thinking, well, what's the point in them having it if that's going to be the mentality, just get knocked out of it?
I mean, I could spend a long time going over this. Yeah, I'll try and summarise this as quickly as I can.
There we go.
Celtic are just fucking shite. End of sentence. Moving on. Just shite, aren't they? You just said it like what I said last time, and we all said it in a roundabout way. There's just no desire to. It's almost embarrassing to the history that they've. Celtic were the first British team to win the European Cup, 1967, I think. I'm pretty sure it was the year before we won it for the first time against Benfica. And you're talking about a team that have had that much history, like going all the way back then, as being one of these original European powerhouses. All the trophies you've won in Scotland, yeah, I know it's a disappointing league, but back in the 80s and the 90s, it wasn't as poor as it is now. And you've just, I mean, they even had some really good Europa League ones back when it was a UEFA Cup. You even had some really good runs in that tournament. And the way they are now, it's just, are they not embarrassed? It's embarrassing, isn't it?
What else are they going to do?
You knowing that it was 1967, by the way, mate. I've just checked, just cross-referenced that. Yeah, smashed it. And you did win it in 68. Mate, well done, you.
What he's done there is he's spent all his time in fucking JJB Sports and Sports Direct, where they used to have that wall of all the European winners on it. As he's picking out his shirts, he's memorised it all.
Now, that is a fantastic reference, that.
Mate, that was my childhood.
That and the mirror that tells you how tall Cristiano Ronaldo is, and you're all like that.
Can we just nip back to what Dale said about the shortest review on the Europa League as well? Because I saw something the other day which made me feel really bad for this footballer. So apparently Romelu Lukaku has only ever won the Belgian league.
Yeah.
And he's never won another major trophy.
Yeah, fucked.
Honestly.
Yeah.
He's obviously now runner-up in Europa League, and I don't think he's come closer than that. And
Did he not win anything at United?
No.
No. Apparently he's got like 50-odd goals for Belgium in about 80-odd appearances. He's like one of the top strikers of the last, 5 to 10 years. And he's won nothing. Absolutely.
That's insane. I did not know that.
I feel so sorry for him because he's a top-class striker. I know he obviously didn't do it for you, but he did it for us.
He did it for us in his first season. This has been the argument all the way along. He scored 27 goals in his first season. Everyone forgets that. When he was fit and he looked happy, he came back and just didn't look fit for a start. He looked about a stone overweight all season.
He did, yeah.
And then he just couldn't. He would never have matched Ollie's play style. Like he definitely had to go because he wouldn't have done it this season. But I tell you what a fucking season he's had this year. 34 goals, tying R9 Ronaldo, breaking Ronaldo's record of being the fastest centre player to get to 20 goals. What a season!
I think it'll be interesting now because I believe Conte's future's up in the air. I believe.
Yeah,
he's had a bit of a ding dong with the owners or something. Now, I think
bit of a ding dong.
Before Lukaku there, I think he was raving about Conte being one of the best managers and whatnot, and I think that was probably one of the main reasons why he moved to Inter Milan. But it'll be interesting to see now if that was Conte's final game, how that did affect possibly Lukaku. It'd be interesting to see what goes on there.
Is he on loan from you, or did they sign him from you?
No, they
signed him.
How much did he cost them?
75, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
There you have 75 million for him. Like, I mean, he's obviously proved that he is that sort of price tag by having such a season. But off the back of him being unfit for you, 75 million, you've done very well.
He's going to be, if he gets another big move, he'll end up looking at like Ronaldo and ironically Nicolas Anelka territory for like the most combined transfer fees. We signed him for 90 million. Swear your boy, you paid 30 million from, didn't you?
Yeah, we I think at the time we broke our transfer record.
Yeah.
For it.
So then we got 75 million from him. All he needs is one more big move, and he's breaking like the records for the most like signed for transfer. I don't know what you call that record, but yeah, no, you're saying about Conte there, and Fabrizio Romano actually tweeted a picture the other day saying that the meeting next week, saying that he's not going to be staying, and we all know he's pretty much the source. If he says it, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
Who's not going to be staying?
Conte at Inter.
Well, apparently Massimiliano Allegri is being lined up to take over him again.
I feel like he's linked with every job in.
Yeah. If there's a job in England going, he's starting learning English. If his job in Italy going, he's going back home. Like
honestly, there's
he
no industry
wants
like
work.
there's no industry like the football business, is there? Like if I worked at Tesco, it's a bit like if I worked at Tesco and I said to the bosses I'm unhappy at Tesco, it's a bit like the newspapers coming out and going, he's been linked with Aldi, Iceland, the co-op down the road. In a surprise move, he might go to a one-stop, you never know. But every manager's just like linked here, there and everywhere. And this is the problem with the transfer windows as well. Like there's so much crap coming out. You don't know what's real and what's not.
Realistically, no one knows, apart from the clubs and any people close to it. And Fabrizio Romano is usually quite a realistic source, reliable source. And he said earlier in reply to someone, look, don't fret about Man United. There's still a long way to go in the transfer window yet. And I kind of get that. And it also made me think like, well, if you think about it, we are only like a few weeks into the transfer window. It's just Chelsea have made it feel later than it is because they've signed so many players already. And fair play to them for getting their business done early. I know we are feeling a little bit late, but City have signed one player. Arsenal are on the brink of signing someone. They've got that William Saliba coming back on loan. They've signed those two other defenders permanently now. That was announced today. Who was that? Pablo Mori and
they were done. They were done halfway through the lockdown, weren't they?
Yeah. So that's all they've really done.
And Willian as well.
And Willian, of course. Liverpool haven't signed anyone.
No.
So
Olympiacos left back, didn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, well, basically no one.
And Thiago Alcantara can't wait to leave the European champions to head over to Anfield, to a bigger club.
I can't see him playing for Liverpool. I really can't.
You won't see him playing after he gets 10 games under his belt and his knee goes again.
Well, this is it. How old is he? 30?
29, 30. Look, he's a fucking baller. We've seen that in that knockout tournament. He's an absolute player.
He's ridiculous.
Moving back into the Champions League, the knockout tournament, lads. How good has these one-legged games been? Like how they've been unreal, haven't they?
If you want another soundbite from me, mate, no. I'm trying to bait me into it.
His dad's told him. His dad's warned him now. He says, "No, don't you bring me into this again."
I said to that the other night. I was like, I said, "Do you listen to the podcast?" Hey. He goes, "No, I'm not listening yet." And I was like, "I wouldn't bother."
Yeah, just give it a miss. It's not that good.
Like we glanced over it last time, but I think we can fully say it now. Like it's definitely been a success.
Yeah.
It's been a knockout tournament that's been worthy of fans. I think Ander Herrera's interview last night said it all, where he say like, it's shit. We feel shit. We need football fans back in. Without fans, we just feel empty and we feel like nothing. The quality of the games, apart from the Champions League final aside, which had its moments, but the Champions League finals never deliver because it's two teams that are scared to lose rather than wanting to win. But the quarters and semis, I don't know about you boys. If this was the format for the next 2-3 Champions Leagues, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, does it feel this way because we've got a lack of international tournament? Or if we had it this year, every year, it just feels the same anyway? Potentially.
We said this on the last podcast. It feels like why we love the Euros and the World Cup so much, because it's just footy on all the time, and it's one game to finish. I don't know. I think it was Chris that was talking about it, where he said there's no teams that are sat there waiting for a shitty draw, trying to defend, because you've got the home leg, getting rid of the away. Getting rid of the away goals rule for a start is a massive factor.
It's the build up to it. It's the build up. If your team's involved, like when we were facing Sevilla, like I know it's the Europa League and it's not Danny's favourite competition. But
it's not the White Monster Cup, is it?
Yeah. The Haggis Iron Brew White Monster Invitational between Ireland and Scotland. It's the build up to it. So like all day when we were facing Sevilla, there's no first and second leg. It's not like if we play shit tonight, we can just go over to Spain, or we can just bring it back to OT and it's fine. It was whatever happens tonight, that's it. And you do think of it like an international tournament. I think it's miles better. I think you should keep the group stages like they are, home and away. Prove over the 6 games that you're the best 2 teams to get out of the group stages and get into the knockouts. Yeah, that's fine. That's fair enough. But once you get into the knockouts, it should be knockout, shouldn't it? This is what it felt like. It felt like a proper knockout tournament. Whoever's best on the night turns up, wants it more, performs on the day, done and dusted, you're through. Other team, bye, see you later. No second chances. It's just far more entertaining. It's far more entertaining for a fan of a club who's involved, and it's far more entertaining for fans of clubs who aren't involved even more. Because there's none of the, like you said, there's none of the shitty tactics of we're going to score an away goal and shut up shop. We're going to really go for it this time because we're at home. Or we have to be a bit cagey and defensive because we're at home. We don't want to give that away goal away. There's none of that bollocks. There really isn't. Not to be funny, the best person to probably comment on this is Josh, because you haven't been involved with Everton in a European contest this season. So you can probably say as a neutral what it's been like watching this kind of format in the 2 tournaments. I can see you smiling, Dave.
It's a rare occasion when Everton are involved in any European football, mate. So it was a treat. I've enjoyed it. I do like the one legs, and I do enjoy watching football every night. Who doesn't? I do also think that it leads to maybe not necessarily the best team winning sometimes, but it's one of those things. You've got to win on the night, haven't you? Like I would, if I refer back to previous Champions Leagues that I've watched, the amount of times I've seen Barcelona, because I pay particular interest into them, but the amount of time I've seen them play Arsenal over the years, and I remember one specific time where Arsenal beat them in the first leg, and I said, probably to Lee at the time, Barcelona are going to absolutely romp second leg. There's no way that first leg advantage is going to stand, because Barcelona by far the best team. I think it was during the Tito Villanova stage, just after Pep had gone, when they were still firing. They weren't the team that Pep had, but they were still world class. And I'm sure in the second leg they put like 3 past Arsenal. It was like 3-0 or something like that. And it just goes to show over 2 legs, I do think that the best team does win. I know that's just one segregated time that I remember, but I feel a little bit harsh on some teams with the one leg. And even United this year, I personally would have said United a better team, but and that's why you were the favourites to win the tournament. But on the night, you got trumped by a good defence and you missed a couple of sitters. So that's your fault, not theirs.
It's one of them though where I think I put it in the chat. It was an amazing stat where like the Champions League is not the best of the best. This was the first final since 2003 where the 97, sorry, where the 2 teams playing each other were champions of the respective leagues. So that's like the amount of years we've gone by where we've not had the champions of one country versus the champions of the other. It's never been the best versus the best. And I think that's why I prefer it. I think I like the unpredictability of a 1-game knockout. Like I said, you can pretty much predict who's going through on a 2-game leg. And it does get a bit predictable. These 1-gamers, like Leon against City, fucking love that. As a neutral, because unless it's Liverpool.
Are you neutral? No. What?
Unless it's Liverpool. Unless it's Liverpool, I want to see the English teams do well in Europe. It's our sport. I want to see us do well.
Well said, mate.
Unless it's Liverpool. Liverpool can get fucked.
Agree. Scum.
But it was unreal seeing an underdog like Leon win that game. And that would have never have happened over 2 legs. No chance.
Do you think...
I was just going to say, the biggest problem with like sticking to this format, the only reason it's worked this way is because it's at neutral venues. But when we get fans back into the grounds again, you're not going to be able to do it, because if you think about it, you can't decide and say, right, well, the draw's been done. It's Bayern at home against City, for example. That's not fair on City then, if there's only 1 leg. I think that's why there is 2 legs in the first place, and it's the reason why you can't you can't just then say, right, well, from now on, we're going to scrap. We're going to scrap two-legged ties, because then you say, right, well, you can't just then play them at neutral venues like a tournament, because then what about the fans? Like, at least with two-legged ties, your fans see a home leg at least. And I think that'll be one of the main reasons why they won't get rid of it, because we've had, after coronavirus and that, they're going to want to do as much for the fans as possible, which is unfortunate, because I think that as a format, one-legged ties works, but I just don't think they're logistically possible in terms of having fans there or playing them at neutral venues.
I think it was The Guardian that said today that UEFA were looking into it, but like you said, I can't see it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously enjoyed having football pretty much every day for the last 3 weeks, whatever it is, all through August, and actually I've liked the format, but then a bit of me just likes the miracles of the two-leggers. I hate to say it, but obviously, was it Liverpool last year, Barcelona?
Get fucked.
The season before that, was it Tottenham City? You know, that second leg, the drama with that.
That second leg.
A couple of years before that, when Barcelona came from like 5 behind or something, whatever ridiculous it was against PSG.
You got a good point.
There is that sort of element to me. I mean, like I say, as much as I've enjoyed this format, there's that side of things that I think, you know, there's a team that's got absolutely no chance, and then they go and pull off this miracle in the second leg. It's just, I don't know, sort of balance the argument out a little bit, but like I say, I've fully enjoyed it the way it's been done now. And
I was going to say, I think we'll get one more year of it at least, because I think Corona's going to linger a while in it. So we probably are going to get one more season of this format, I would have thought.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Although they want to get fans back in stadiums by October, don't they? Like, that was the press release that United put out the other day, that they're going to start looking at October. But even so, you can't expect fans to be travelling. I think, by the earliest, You can't expect fans to travel across Europe to go and watch a Champions League game, not when half the country is still on a quarantine list. Talking of Twitter, lads, and Lee, you brought this up earlier with Chelsea. Fabrizio Romano has been at it again today, confirming that Kai Havertz is on his way to Stamford Bridge. 100 million euros. So not only is he going, they've already brought in Werner and Ziyech. They're going to bring in Chilwell. Thiago Silva's coming in.
That's confirmed.
They're a goalkeeper. Has that been confirmed now? Yeah.
Yeah, Fabrizio Romano did his "Here We Go" earlier on Thiago Silva.
All right. They're a goalkeeper away from winning the league, in my opinion. I don't know what you boys think. They have gone from par with us to serious title contenders in a matter of months.
I still think they need another centre-back.
You're not convinced on Thiago Silva, are you?
I just think...
Apparently they're sending Tomori out on loan.
I saw that. Leeds are looking at him. And apparently wants to go into League One as well, which is... League Un.
League Un. Let me tell you boys something. I'm not a football manager expert, and I'm not an expert on football management. But I'm going to tell you right now what's going to happen at Chelsea this season. All those youngsters that have been playing for them this season because of the transfer embargo and all the rest of it. So let's run through them quickly. Your likes of Tomori, Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham up front, and your fringe players, your Hudson-Odoi and the like. They are seeing absolutely fuck all first team football this season because where are they playing? They're getting dropped from the bench.
Can you not counter argue that this is what we're trying to do and what we spoke about with United the other day, that they're just adding depth and quality? So Mason Mount, who was probably their player of the season, he's not a starter anymore, but fuck me, what a substitute he is and what a rotational attacking midfielder he is now, rather than us who were looking at Andreas Pereira.
But we're trying to sign one. I mean, I say we're trying to sign one or two. Fucking hell, we're doing absolutely nothing at the moment. Chelsea, by the time the window was short, could have signed like 7 players. That's a whole team.
Abramovich is not fucking about, is he? He's like, do you know what? Fuck FFP. We're just going to do what we want. Sign whoever we want.
Just
pay the
fuck
fine
FFP.
when we get it. But that's all it is, though. It's basically like a tax on being able to sign whoever you want, FFP, because you just get fined. You get your bans overturned, and then you do what you want. Like it's a farce, really. They need to either be more strict with it or get rid of it. Like one of the two. You either let people go the full hog, or you properly stamp down on it. And the problem is, like, people are whinging about Chelsea and their FFP, but to be honest with you, Thiago Silva was free. Ziyech was signed with last year's budget, I think.
And Werner was technically as well.
Yeah, Werner, but even then, he's only 50 million. Really, they've spent 100. Well, it's 80 million pounds on upfront, which means this season's finances. I mean, they make enough money that there's no way they're in danger of FFP. And the thing that pisses me off the most is we can be in the same position if we want to be. We've got more money than Chelsea as a club. So as a club, it's easier for us to get past those FFP regulations because we've got a larger margin of error in terms of making a loss. Whereas Chelsea are being financed by a billionaire owner. We can reinvest our revenue. I'm not saying they don't make revenue, but not as much as we do. But what are we doing behind the scenes? What is really going on? Like, people like kick off on Twitter and they sit there and they whinge about the Glazers, and they say, right, we're going to tweet hashtag Love United Hate Glazer, hashtag Glazers out. We're going to tweet it every day. Jump on board. Do you really think the Glazers are sat there in America looking at Twitter thinking, do you know what? I think we better sell a club, lads.
No, they fuck.
They're not. And even if no one could turn up to the stadium, do you know what? The coronavirus is probably the fucking best thing that ever happened to the Glazers because it means that they can't protest on the ground. But at the same time, you could have it where no one turned up to the ground in protest of the Glazers. They still wouldn't fucking leave because they still make the money through other means.
Protests at United never work, though.
Anymore.
Protests at United never work. We've had this so many times where it started a few years ago with the yellow and gold, green and gold scarves and shirts, and they quickly got taken away from fans as soon as you walked into the stadium. As soon as David Beckham was seen with one around his neck when he was playing for Milan, they were gone. We've had these rumours of Twitter saying, oh, we'll walk in on the 22nd minute or we'll walk out at the 70th minute. I've been at them games. No one fucking leaves. No. Why? Because you've paid £800 for a season ticket.
And no one will give the season.
Yeah, exactly. You're not gonna give you a season ticket up because then you're waiting on the list for another 4 years. The protests at Old Trafford don't work, and that's what these fans on Twitter just don't seem to understand. That the Glazers have this like grip on us, and we're still 700 million in debt. We're such a money earner for them, though. They're not arsed. But I'm going back to Chelsea, and I wanted to drag up their 2004 transfer window. I think I spoke about it in the group chat earlier. The names they brought in, because you said about them could bring in 7 players. They have a history of doing this, Chelsea. They don't really sign 1 or 2 players. If they're signing basically a whole new team. In 2004, they brought in I'm going to name them like notable ones. Mikel Forssell, Yuri Jarosic, Petr Cech, Didier Drogba, Mattia Kezman, Paulo Ferreira, Ricardo Carvalho, Ian Robben, and Thiago.
Thiago, do you remember Thiago?
That is a fucking window, that.
How much would that window cost you nowadays?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, I remember Drogba being the most expensive, about 25 million. All the rest of them were under about 15 million and under. Sensational window. But they have a history of doing this, Chelsea. Like they will ship out a full team and they'll bring in a full team. Like in that same window, they got rid of Babayaro, Felipe Oliveira, Hernan Crespo, Jesper Gronkiar, Hasselbank, Melchior, and Veron.
Fucking hell.
Like they have a history of just turning over the team, and I'm pretty certain they went on and won that league that season.
Yeah.
Why
can't we do that?
Frightening. It's frightening to think about what Chelsea are going to be next year. Like their team next year could be unreal. Like I said, they're a goalkeeper away from winning the league.
They're after Oblak, apparently.
We could get rid of a whole team. Rojo gone, Smalling gone, Jones gone, one of the keepers gone, Lingard gone, Pereira gone. Mata. Well, I still think Mata.
So you dare get rid of my boy?
I'm low with Mata because Mata can still. He seems to come off the bench and have an impact in the games he comes on in. I know he's not a starter. I know he's not going to be playing 30, 40, 50 games a season. But when he does come on, I can't remember the last time he didn't play well. And if he didn't play well, it was because the team didn't play well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
What was the game in the
Copenhagen?
Europa? Yeah, Copenhagen. He came on against Copenhagen, and arguably he was the one that turned the tide. He changed the game.
He was the one that turned it round for us.
So I'm loath to get. I mean, if he has to go, I'm not going to be. Well, I will be upset because I do like Mata, and he's always going to have a special place in my heart because of that Anfield performance. But he always comes back to Liverpool, doesn't it? Sorry, lads, I do apologise. I'm petty as fuck. If we got rid of him, like fair enough. But yeah, all right, throw Mata on for argument's sake. That's like 8 or 9 players. The wages and the transfer fees we could get back in. We could get a good solid 2 or 3 in, do you know what I mean? And if it's the likes of Brooks, if we get one marquee signing and then we get something like a Brooks and then maybe getting like another defender or something, just sort of make it like some right back cover or something, it's something in it. But we're just doing nothing at the moment. There's just nothing going on.
The thing
this is my argument with Chelsea because they're just going to leave like all these starters that they're bringing in. Because let's be honest, every player they've signed will be starting that first game of the season for them.
Yeah,
Abraham, Mount, Tomori, they're not going to see game time anymore, but not at the start. But they will be that rotational talent. So now the players that they've had on the bench, the Ross Barkley, who I think they'll be happy to ship off. I think Barkley's finished at Chelsea, and then the fucking 50 players that they send on loan every year, they don't really need to send on loan anymore, do they? No. Because they've now got this solid 24, 25-man squad where they don't need to rely on it. And I don't know about you boys, but it scares me. I genuinely think that Liverpool's title defence next season will be under threat most by Chelsea.
Yeah. Depends what City do as well. Because if they don't sign one player.
Well, it's not 2, aren't they? Ake and Ferran Torres.
Of course.
And they're going to sign that quick.
They're not.
Powerful, rapid and fast centre-back, Koulibaly.
He's dog shit.
Gone off him now. Nah.
Before I move on to Josh, because I want to hear what you're thinking as well from an Everton perspective, because obviously you've been linked with a lot of players, and you're not too dissimilar to us in the sense that you need a good squad overhaul this summer. Like it's coming, and there's a lot of work to be done at Goodison and stuff. Dale, what are you thinking? Because I know you've not commented yet, and I know you've always got a gem in that bleeding head of yours, just waiting to be unleashed. Honestly, mate, can you make sense of what's going on with Old Trafford at the moment? Because we're hearing nothing, are we?
Am I surprised? Nope. Has it been like this for the last probably since Fergie left, hasn't it, really? I mean,
yeah.
The transfer windows we have had have been shit. Bar probably last summer and obviously January, where we, the signings that has brought in have actually, they've probably been worth the value. But I mean, to be, we get linked with a player and it's just this saga. It just gets dragged out all the time, and I just don't think the board can do 2-3 signings in one go. You look at Chelsea; they announced one signing, and then about a week later they've got another one. I mean,
yeah,
we do one every,
one every window.
Get one deal done before. Yeah, we got to get one deal done before we can move on to another one. And like I said, I'd prefer the tactic Chelsea have done. Got them in early, get them bedded in early. That's what I like to see in a summer transfer window anyway. And I can see this Sancho one being dragged out all the way till the end. We'll pay a ridiculous fee in the end, and it's just like, well, why do that right at the very start?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just not surprised, to be honest. If we get Sancho done, mint, fantastic. If we don't, will he be shocked? Not at all. Not
When
at
was
all.
the last summer where we didn't sign a single player?
We've always brought in someone. We've always brought in someone.
Yeah.
Summer window.
But we've had a few summers where we've not brought in like a marquee.
Yeah.
I remember. I feel like it wasn't Fergie's last season, but the one before, because Fergie's last season we brought in Van Persie, and that was the marquee. I'm sure the season before, the biggest transfer we did might have even been Alexander Butner, if I'm not mistaken. There.
What a reference!
I'm pretty certain he was up there as like one of the only signings we made. It could have been a couple of seasons before, but there was definitely a window where it was very poor signings, and we were relying on. But we could rely on it with Fergie back then, because we could rely on the youth players to drag us through. I've said it before. I'll say it a million times. Tom Cleverley and Anderson looked like fucking Keenan Scholes under Ferguson. Like Tom Cleverley's got multiple Premier League winners' medals. Steven Gerrard's got none, and that's all because of. I just wanted to throw that out there. That's all because of Fergie. He made these players great, but we haven't got a manager like that anymore. And whatever Ollie's doing is great at the moment. He is doing. He's motivating. Martial is the best example, who had an absolute stinker under Mourinho.
Yeah,
didn't have the best of times under Van Gaal.
No.
But it's only one man. Like, he needs support, Martial, and Ollie needs support. And I think Lee, you said it earlier in the chat, of this is an example of Abramovich backing Lampard and seeing his vision and getting the players he wants. And that's why Lampard will be in a job. If Ollie doesn't get the players, it's going to be on Ollie's head why we're not performing, why we're not keeping up with City, Liverpool and Chelsea. Would it shock you if he's sacked by Christmas if we don't get any signings in? It won't shock me.
No.
Would it shock you? Would it shock you if United are sitting in 8th for Christmas?
No.
If we don't sign anyone?
He's the one that's ultimately going to pay the price if we don't back him in this window. But Josh, how are you feeling from an Everton perspective, mate? Because you're like I said before, touched on it. You're kind of like us. There's not really been much going on, but there's a lot of work to do in there.
God, there's an awful lot of work to do at Everton at the moment. It's twofold, really. You've got an awful lot of deadwood there that needs getting rid of, and that's a job in itself, because it is an awful lot of players. And then obviously it's replacing the players that are rubbish with some quality, which is something that we've not been renowned over the last 5 years of doing, isn't it? We've spent an awful lot of money on poor players, which we've touched on other podcasts. I think I do try and keep up with Everton's transfers, but like yourselves, maybe I just sort of don't like to read into it too much, because there are an awful lot of names getting thrown about, and realistically, probably none of them are actually coming to your club. The one that keeps getting repeated, and I'm actually getting a little bit bored of hearing about it now, is Allen from Napoli. Apparently that's meant to be a done deal, 30 million euros. Awful lot of money for somebody who's 30 years old, I think. But once again, Everton throwing money at players. He could turn out to be brilliant. I don't know anything about him, really. The funniest
Farmers League.
Well, yeah, the funniest transfer rumour that I've heard like this week with Everton follows on from Ronald Koeman becoming the Barcelona manager. And I don't know if any of you have heard this, but apparently on his transfer targets is Michael Keane.
I have heard this. Yeah, my brother was telling me about it.
Oh, good Lord. Christ.
Barcelona, I've not heard anything quite so unrealistic in a
And they want to bring in Michael Keane and terminate Luis Suarez's contract. What a club Barcelona are. What they make me happy as a United fan that we are not that bad.
Wow, like if I thought that things were bad at Everton, things are worse at Barcelona at the moment. I mean, it is rumours, obviously, but
Look at
all
the
these-
shock on Dale's face.
like
Ah,
Suarez. Somebody in the chat mentioned earlier, third top goal scorer for Barcelona in their history. Is that right?
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
And he is, and I see it on social media all the time. He is best mates with Lionel Messi. They go on family holidays together. They're always photoed together getting off the private jet when they go around Europe, or if they're traveling around Spain for an away day or something. They seem inseparable, and I see them posting pictures together on the social media all the time. Like, if Suarez is going, I don't think Messi's going to be happy at all, and apparently he's not anyway, and he's not agreeing a new deal. So if you're losing Suarez and Messi, what are you going to rely on? Ansu Fati, who's brilliant, by the way, but apparently you're linked with him. So I don't know if there's a move there or not. But then,
Of course we are. It's a football player in a transfer window.
and then you've got Griezmann, who's not fitting in very well.
Ousmane Dembele, who's not really done anything.
He's made of glass.
Koeman said about Griezmann, he was like, well, I'm not going to play him where he's been played before. I'm actually going to play him in his natural position. You played Calvert-Lewin at right back. What you want about? Why are you trying to make out like you're some profound manager? Like, you're a fucking gobshite.
Yeah.
It's an interesting appointment. It's an interesting appointment, and isn't it, Ronald Koeman? Like, because he was all right at Southampton, and he didn't really do much at Everton.
No,
he was
started the downturn in fortunes. Well, maybe contributed to it after Roberto. What's his name?
Mancini. Martinez, yeah, not
I
Mancini.
just didn't get Mancini off the
Mancini, go on, lad.
But the thing is with that Barca job is, I feel like they were just happy getting anyone because they know it's going to be changing next year. They are waiting for Xavi to finish playing about in Saudi Arabia and then get him in. Like,
what managerial experience has he got?
Who's Xavi?
Yeah.
Just managing in Saudi Arabia.
I'm sorry, but we're talking about one of the richest and best clubs. Maybe not currently, but I still consider them to be one of the best clubs in the world. And they're taking
still top three.
Yeah, and they're taking on a manager. Well, they should have really won the La Liga this year. They flopped at the end, and I'm not taking anything off Real Madrid. They deserved it because they dominated after lockdown. But Barca gifted at them. Like, they were well ahead. What was it, like 7 points clear or something daft like that?
Yeah.
I don't understand why they're taking Xavi on at all. I do not understand.
I don't think he'll go whilst it's a bit of a mess. That's what
No.
I just think they'd ease off just a little bit, maybe try and sort this pickle out that they're in. See if our Ronald can do anything over there, but I just whilst it's in the current state that they're in at the minute, I can't see Xavi.
No,
sort
it'll
of
taint his
taking
career
up that
before
role
it's even
just yet.
started.
Yeah,
it'll completely taint his career.
Well, that's it. I mean, he's got such a legacy at Barcelona. He comes in when it's a mess. It all goes tits up. Goes completely wrong, and then he's
his legacy.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think everyone's after that Zidane appointment, aren't they? I think Zinedine Zidane taking over at Real Madrid and being as successful as he was has really got everyone looking at these former coaches. I mean, look at world football right now. You've got Lampard at Chelsea, Ollie with us, Koeman and Larsson together at Barcelona.
Yeah.
Like Henrik Larsson going into management. As far as I'm aware, is that his first time at a major club as a manager?
Yeah, but why not?
Arteta.
Arteta at Arsenal. Like, it's the way everyone's going, and it's that feel good appointment. But the fucking state that Barcelona are in at the moment, they need more than a feel-good appointment.
Yeah. I can't wait for Tim Cahill to be our next manager.
Tim Cahill and Leon Osman together, mate.
Big Kevin Campbell, assistant manager.
Mate, just get Tony Hibbert in. Don't beat around the bush. Get Hibbert in.
Stop it. Could you imagine that?
I still find it amazing that Tony Hibbert scored his only ever professional goal in his testimonial, and it was an absolutely banging free kick.
Oh, it's scorching, wasn't it?
On there.
It was. Oh, I would have expected a bigger riot as well, to be honest, because we talked about it for so long, and then he scored a free kick on his testimonial, and it was just, I think the security did the job really, but there was probably only about like 40 fans on the pitch. I wanted all 30,000
onto the pitch.
crammed in.
He scored one goal
In about 4
his whole career.
in his entire career.
Yeah, and it wasn't a professional goal. It was in like a fucking charity match.
I wouldn't even call that a goal.
You wait till you
put that on
see
the
it.
record.
I'm sending it. You wait till you see it. It's a goal.
Oh, it's a belter.
It's a great goal.
Drills it hard and low under the wall.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the podcast. To support us, please follow us on social media by searching for @4manx1toffee on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. You can also subscribe to the podcast on all major podcast stations, including Spotify, Google and Apple Podcasts and Anchor, as well as YouTube. Just search for 4manx1toffee. Thanks from myself, Lee, Danny, Dale and Josh, and we'll catch you next time.